When Nefer was first revealed to us in the Song of the Welcome Moon trailer, I was instantly intrigued. She stood out in a few ways, mainly her bright green tones, those spiky golden fingertips, and little fangs. It only took those few seconds for me to understand that this character had some type of tie to Sumeru. Today we're going back in time to break down Nefer's design and discuss some elements to her story. With that, there will be some spoilers ahead, so please click off the video if you want to discover Nefer's storyline for yourself. Right away, we can discern that the main color palette for Nefer includes various tones of green, gold accents, and white. I like that the designers didn't shy away from adding really bright pops of green and even yellowish green tones to help some elements of her design stand out. The back of her long cape has this bright yellow green to help break up the shapes, for an example. I also really like that her earrings are a bright teal color, and much of the patterns on her design are geometric in nature. Those sharp angles gives us an idea to her personality. When Nefer's top half was revealed to us, I thought it was a strong design. She had a lot of intricate jewelry like in the headpiece, the earrings, and the gem resting above her chest, and while subtle, the visual storytelling easily told us that she is from Sumeru. My only complaint with the top half of her design is the exposed sides and back. Seeing as her sleeves somewhat connect to the fabric around her neck and shoulders, I don't see why this just could have been covered, and knowing that she chooses Nod Krai to be her home, you'd think she'd want some type of protection from the cold. The idea of being warmly dressed is chucked out the window once you see the rest of her design, or the lack thereof. If you've been on social media, you've likely already heard the critique I'm going to give regarding this design. Her dress is incredibly short with an extra slit to further expose her hip, and she's got almost nothing going on with the legs. We have a thigh strap with a little gem on it, but that's about it. I'm not sure what the designers were thinking here. Did they believe that because the top half of Nefer's design was so intricate that they decided to leave the bottom half more empty to balance it out? If that was their intention, then unfortunately it comes off as lazy instead. The legs feel like an afterthought, and once again, we have heels slapped onto another tall female model character. Did you know that Kuchosara is the only tall female not wearing heels? If you're interested to see just how overused heels are in Genshin, you can check out my high heels impact video next. I spent some time wondering how they could have fixed the legs, and there was one idea I had that stood out the most. On Nefer's face, we see a small green design under her one eye. Do you remember Ningguang's original design that had this large tattoo on her leg? They totally could have done something similar for Nefer. She could have a dark green tattoo on one of her legs that resembles the Ibis King or some other Sumeru symbolism, and that would have helped with the emptiness of her legs. She still wouldn't be dressed for the cold, but now she has a point of interest on her design, and it complements the small design choice on her face, helping the design just feel more balanced overall. As for the short length of her dress, I don't think this is one of those cases where you can just extend the length and solve the problem. For one, the sudden white color of this dress/skirt is jarring, as there are no other white colors on her design to balance this out. It would need some of the dark green tones to help connect this to the rest of her outfit, or just remove the white color entirely and go with something else like black. It has some golden patterns on it, which is a good start, but a little dark green trim or dark green patterns of this part could have really gone a long way. And if I'm being honest, I don't think a short skirt is a bad idea for Nefer. I just think we need to remove the unnecessary hip window, letting the fabric connect, and adding some dark green colors. If we wanted Nefer to be more appropriately dressed for the cold, we could add some black tights, but honestly, I like the idea of a dark green tattoo on her leg instead. As it stands, Yoimiya and Ningguang are the only two characters with tattoos. If you want to include markings, then Ito and Shinobu could count as well. This would have been a great way to make her unique and give us something interesting to look at on the bottom half of her design. Jumping over to her splash art, we are immediately hit with a pyramid-like shape hinting towards her backstory in the desert. We see Nefer sitting down near the middle with two clones on either side. I like that they went in heavy with the green tones for the splash art. It just makes the artwork all the more striking. There is some negative space, and thankfully the designers put it in where it counts, which is the space between the two triangles. The two extra slashes of green on the bottom of the big triangle and the top gives it a bit more flair, and the real Nefer is in the center. Honestly, aside from having to draw 3 different Nefers, this isn't the craziest splash art we've seen, and yet it's still effective. The only bizarre thing about it is Nefer is sitting down, and in the game you'll see that she pulls out a giant couch out of nowhere to use her ultimate ability. You can see this best if you accidentally don't get locked into her burst animation. I did not pull for Nefer, but whenever we got to play with her in the trial, I did find her gameplay pretty fun. Though, if I'm being completely honest, I almost pulled Nefer just for that cat. Who doesn't love that Egyptian style cat. Oh my god, it's adorable. Nefer runs the Curatorium of Secrets and thus has plenty secrets of her own. She's cunning and is always thinking a few steps ahead of everyone else. With her work being in the intelligence network and her own skills combined, she becomes quite the knowledgeable ally or threat. As we progress through the Nod Krai quest, we get fully thrown into her backstory and we learn that she didn't exactly have the greatest time in the desert. She apparently was an orphan adopted by some desert folk, and this is how they explain Nefer's lighter skin tone complexion. I'm sure some of you have already surmised the problem here. A big part of Nefer's story is while she hails from the desert, Nefer herself is rather fair-skinned. Aside from many of the NPCs that do in fact have a darker skin tone, the playable characters really don't. Yes, we have Sino, Sethos, Dia, and Candace who do present a darker complexion, but it's not that much different from the pale skin tone that's very prevalent in our playable cast. And yes, we have Eonsen, Kaya, and Shinyan too, but I'm focusing on the Sumeru desert characters here. That alone weakens Nefer's story, as the one thing that's supposed to make her stand out doesn't. And that's not necessarily the story's fault. This is more on the in-game presentation than the writing. If there were playable characters with true darker complexions, and if some of them came from Sumeru's desert, then this point would have come across just fine. It's in the middle of Revere's story that Nefer's backstory is revealed to us. Essentially, when Nefer used the chessboard to take a peek into Revere's memories, Revere got wind of this and decided to give Nefer a taste of her own medicine. As a result, we got to see where she came from, who she was, and why she grew to hate her homeland so much, thus resulting in her new home in Nod Krai with the Curatorium of Secrets. While I wanted to learn about Nefer, unfortunately her backstory greatly disrupted the flow of the Archon quest. She's a prime example of what happens when you get rid of individual character story quests and try to force certain plot points into the main narrative. You are more likely to screw up the pacing, as all the characters are fighting for the same limited screen time. I'm going to be honest, Nefer is a mixed bag for me in both design and story. I don't mind having smart characters who are always one step ahead, but it feels like this personality type is more common in Genshin these days. Off the top of my head, I can think of Nefer herself, Nicole, Alice, Malvika, Kokomi, Alhaitham, Nahida, Yalan, Ayato, Zhongli, Albedo, Ningguang, and Venti. And naturally, some are better written in this category than others. I guess in the grand scheme of things, having like 13 characters who are similar isn't a lot compared to the over 100 plus on the playable roster. You'll have to let me know what you think of this character personality type and who do you include in this group. Is this becoming a repetitive problem for you, or is it no big deal? Luckily, Nefer does break away from some of the overused design tropes with the detached sleeves and the boob window, but she falls right into them with the super short dress and heels. I've also noticed her haircut is one we're beginning to see more often. Linnea has the same haircut in Genshin, and Remiel has the same one in Zenless Zone Zero. It feels like another short hair fake out, only to turn the model around and to see there's actually another layer of hair underneath. It reminds me of that wolf cut hairstyle that got super popular a few years ago. Maybe it only feels repetitive because all three of these characters are releasing very close to each other. Either way, Nefer's design clearly calls back to her Sumeru origins, and I love her cat. Thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed, please leave a like and consider subscribing. I've made a bunch of dedicated videos like this for the Nod Krai cast, so if you want to see more character design breakdowns, you can check my playlist with them all next, and I hope to see you in the next one.